See, there's something within us that wants to leave a legacy. But here's the thing you need to know is if God asks you to do something, don't look at the size of the job, look at the size of your God who asked you to do it. See, he laid down his life for you, so that tells me that you are not worthless, you are worthy. And this is what he wants to rewrite into your story. That reality impacts everything.
Welcome everyone. I'm so excited to launch into this new series called Rewriting Christmas. When we think about rewriting Christmas or how we came to that title, it just simply comes to this idea that I feel like what has happened in our culture and in society is that Christmas has kind of just gotten robbed of what its original meaning was. In fact, right now I'm watching like a lot of Christmas movies. They just kind of all shuffle to the top on Netflix and things like that. And my kids are watching all these different movies. And as we watch them, it's funny because at the end, it often will say, and that's the meaning of Christmas, or and that's what Christmas is all about. It'll be stuff like, it's all about family. It's all about being with your friends. It's all about love. It's all about peace. And I'm sitting there thinking, no. It's all about Jesus. And yet our culture has kind of robbed it and taken it in a different place. And so during this whole series, our whole hope is to look at some of the things that Jesus brought with him when he came, and kind of we want to bring those things back to the true meaning of what Christ brought to us and offers to us when he arrived. And so I want to look at Isaiah actually as kind of our template for launching into our series today, or this series this week. But Isaiah chapter 9 verse 2 will kind of get us into the idea of what we're talking about today. It says this: the people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of shadows of death, a light has dawned. It's this idea that life sometimes gets really dark. And sometimes it feels like, man, where's the light in the midst of my darkness that I'm staring at? I love the imagery that he uses as a light has dawned. And it really carries this picture of hope. And here as we think about rewriting Christmas, when I've processed how has culture kind of stolen this concept of hope and warped it. And I think what they've really done is they've twisted it to this concept of like a Christmas wish versus biblical hope. A Christmas wish is more like this: I wish I get an iPhone this Christmas, or I wish that I get a new job. I wish that our marriage gets better. I wish, whatever a wish might be. But biblical hope is very different than that. Biblical hope has this idea of joyful confidence in what you're expecting to come. And so as we consider what does that look like, consider what 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 3 says. Praise be to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. In his great mercy, he's given us new birth into a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead. And so he's saying, listen, we have actually access to this thing called a living hope. And I talked quite a bit about that during the message this weekend. But then he connects it to the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And here's a statement that I made during the message was this: his resurrection is the standard by which I build my perspective of hope. And so when there are these days that you feel like life is just dark and where do I go from here? You can't just even say, okay, God, would you be with me? But instead we look at the fact that God didn't just send his son to die for us, that he actually raised from the dead. And that standard of dead things coming to life is the standard through which I look at the darkness that I feel around me, or the hopelessness that I feel around me. It's this reality also, as the Apostle Paul put it in Romans chapter 8, verse 28, we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him and have been called according to his purposes. This reality that God has good purposes for your life, so no matter how difficult life gets, there is hope. I've thought about it this way, is that there are times in my life when my wife and I were we're just stressed out. Maybe our marriage is actually kind of stressed, or financially we're stressed, or life is just difficult and we're stressed and we're kind of maxed. And then what sometimes happens is my kids will come wandering in, like some of my young ones. They have no clue that we're like stressed to the max. We're feeling overwhelmed. We feel kind of hopeless perhaps in an area of our lives. And they come bubbling in and bouncing into the room and they're just happy as can be. And I look at at them and I'm like, what's wrong with you? Don't you know how bad this is? And of course, they just are so joyful. And what I do is I look at them and they actually bring me hope. They bring a smile to my face because they have a perspective of life that I'm not carrying. And the same is true with Jesus. It's not that he's unaware of your situation. In fact, he's actually fully aware, but he carries a different perspective. And he's trying to remind us of the way he sees life, sees your life. And so for you guys, even today, as you break into your small groups, share how has the Lord provided hope in dark days in your life. Maybe for some of you, you're just going to even surround someone or a group of people in your small group who need hope this week, and just pray for them and the situation that they're in the middle of. And so just be blessed as you dive into your conversations. We'll talk to you guys next week.